So today we will do the pelvis and the hip bone part of the pelvis, that is the hip bone. So the largest, it is made up of three bones, that is the ilium, largest bone. Then number two is largest is the pubis, and number three is the ischium. So ilium is the largest part, and if you see from the front, the ilium is seen as the uppermost part of the ilium is called the iliac crest. So this is the iliac crest, the upper one, and it has got the inner lip, it has got the outer lip and the intermediate area. The outer lip anteriorly has got a swelling, this is called the iliac tubercle, and to this iliac tubercle is attached the Y-shaped iliotibial tract, and in this Y of the iliotibial tract is present in this gap the tensor fascia lata muscle, and on the outer lip there is a attachment of the muscle, insertion of the external oblique muscle of the anti-abdominal wall. The inner lip has got the origin of transversus abdominis muscle, and the intermediate area is made for the origin of internal oblique muscle of the anti-abdominal wall. So this iliac crest starts from the anteriorly, from the anterior inferior iliac spine, and then anterior superior iliac spine. So remember, from the anterior superior iliac spine, there is one muscle, one ligament, and also anterior inferior iliac spine, one muscle, one ligament. But which ligament? So to the anterior superior iliac spine, sartorius and inguinal ligament. So sartorius and inguinal ligament are attached to the anterior superior iliac spine, and below this is the anterior inferior iliac spine. Again, one muscle, one ligament. The muscle is rectus femoris, and ligament is iliofemoral ligament of the hip joint. Iliofemoral ligament. Then the inner surface is smooth. Inner surface of the ilium bone, largest bone, is the smooth, and this is called the pelvic surface of the ilium, or is also called the iliac fossa. It is shallow in the female, but it is deeper in the male. Then posteriorly, the iliac crest ends similarly at the posterior superior iliac spine and posterior inferior iliac spine. And to this, both these structures is attached a ligament, that is sacrotuberous ligament. Sacrotuberous ligament is attached to this part of the anterior superior iliac spine, posterior superior iliac spine, and the posterior inferior iliac spine. Both is made for the sacrotuberous ligament. Then this posterior part of the ilium, where the iliac crest ends posteriorly, is large, and this large posterior part of the ilium is called the iliac tuberosity. So tubercle is laterally, the iliac tuberosity, and if you see closely, it has got a ear-like structure. So this is called the auricular part because it resembles like the external ear. So this is the smooth part, and this is the rough part. So this whole is the iliac tuberosity. So it articulates with the sacrum, ala of the sacrum, and they form the sacroiliac joint. So sacroiliac joint is formed here, and in front of the sacroiliac joint, remember, four structures are present. So this is the sacroiliac joint is formed here. If you see the ala of the sacrum, this is the sacroiliac joint. And remember, the front side of the sacroiliac joint is related to four things. And there is a formula to remember: OILS, OILS, OILS. S stands for the sympathetic chain. So sympathetic chain is the medialmost structure. So right and left, two sympathetic chains, they end here, and they form the ganglion impar in front of the first piece of the coccyx. So this is the sympathetic. S stands for sympathetic chain. L stands for lumbosacral trunk. L for lumbosacral trunk. So lumbosacral trunk is L4 and L5. It meets with the S1, S2 and S3 nerves, and they unite to form the largest, thickest cranial nerve of the body, that is the sciatic nerve. So sciatic nerve is formed from the lumbosacral and S1, S2 and S3 nerves here on the anterior surface of the piriformis muscle, which takes origin from the S2, S3 and S4 pelvic surface of the sacrum. So this is the origin of the piriformis. So piriformis is passing over here, and in front of this sciatic nerve is formed. Then I stand for iliolumbar artery. Iliolumbar artery. So this iliolumbar artery is the branch of the posterior division of the interiliac artery, and it runs upward. It supplies the ilium and the lumbar part. So it is called the iliolumbar artery. Then O stands for obturator nerve. So this obturator nerve, it runs down, comes from the medial border of the psoas major, and now it enters the pelvis in front of the sacroiliac joint. So three things, oils to be remembered here. The sacroiliac joint. So this is the part of the bone that is called the ilium bone. Now the second large part is the of the hip bone is the pubis. So pubis lies in the center of the body, and the raj and the right and the left two hip bones, they meet in the midline, and where they form, this is called the pubic symphysis. So this is the pubic symphysis, the part where the right and left two pubic bone of the hip bones, they meet to form. So pubic bone actually has got three parts. This is called the, I am holding the, this is triangular part of the pubic bone is called the body of the pubis, and this is called the superior ramus, and this is the inferior ramus. So ramus means the branch of a tree. So middle portion, this triangle is the body of the pubis, having the outer rough surface, and the inner surface, it is the pelvic surface, because the pelvic organs, they touch here. So this is the outer surface giving the origin of the various muscles. So they call the body of the pubis. And from the, so right body and left body of the pubis, they meet at the pubic symphysis, a joint which is formed here. By the right and left body of the pubis meet to form pubic symphysis. The upper part is called the pubic crest. So this is the superior ramus. The upper portion of the pubic bone is called the superior ramus. Features of the superior ramus is that from the pubic symphysis there is a raised area anteriorly here. So this raised area is called the pubic tubercle. So they call the pubic tubercle, and from the pubic symphysis to the pubic tubercle, this space, this part of the superior ramus is called the pubic crest. We call the pubic crest. So pubic crest gives the origin of the pyramidalis muscle anteriorly, then posteriorly the rectus abdominis muscle. So two muscles take origin, pyramidalis and rectus abdominis, plus it also gives the attachment to the falx inguinalis, or what is called the conjoint tendon. It also attaches to the pubic crest. Then to the pubic tubercle is attached the inguinal ligament. So 10 centimeter long structure, laterally attached to the anterior spheric spine and medially attached to the pubic tubercle. So in between there is no bony attachment. So this gap between the inguinal ligament superiorly and the hip bone below, this gap is the area or the passage through which the structures to go in and out of the femoral or the thigh to the abdomen. So through this femoral artery, femoral vein, femoral nerve, all passes below this gap that is above the inguinal ligament, and below is the part of the ilium as well as the pubic bone. So this is how we do the part of it. Then above the here lies the superficial inguinal ring also. Now from the pubic tubercle, a sharp edge goes towards the acetabulum. This. So this is called the obturator crest. Is the obturator crest. And internally from the pubic symphysis, a arc line goes interior, and this arc line which goes interiorly is called the arcuate line. Or below this is the inner pelvis or true pelvis, and above is the vas pelvis. So this arcuate line is contributed by the pubic crest and the pubic bone, the superior ramus. So this is, and from here, this triangular portion between the two, this is called the pecten pubis. So this triangular area lateral to the pubic tubercle with the arcuate line posteriorly and the pectineal line here also. So this is called the pecten pubis. So pecten pubis, and pectineus muscle takes origin from here. So from pecten pubis, pectineus muscle take origin from. And below here lies the a foramen which is called the obturator foramen. This is the obturator foramen. And if you trace the pubic bone laterally, so here there is a raised area is present above the acetabulum. So this raised area above the acetabulum cup-like structure is called the iliopubic eminence. So this is called the iliopubic eminence. So this is the meeting place of the ilium laterally and pubic bone medially. And to this is attached the pubofemoral ligament of the hip joint. Pubofemoral ligament is attached here. So this is about the superior ramus of the ischium. Then comes the body of the pubis. So body of the pubis gives the origin of the muscles. So the angle between the pubic symphysis and pubic crest. Here is the small area. It is like a bindi the woman put here on the forehead. So the small round bindi-like origin is the adductor longus. Then medial most of the muscle of the thigh is the gracilis. It takes origin from a vertical line parallel to the pubic symphysis. Near to the pubic is the gracilis. Then just lateral to it, a small vertical and oblique line. This is the shows the origin of the adductor brevis. And then near the obturator foramen, starting from the body of the pubis, going down to the inferior ramus up to the ischial tuberosity. This large origin is the origin of the adductor magnus. That's why its name is adductor magnus, because it's magnified. Longus means long, brevis means brief muscle, adductor brevis, and magnus means magnified. So this is how we do this. Now the inferior ramus of this pubis bone meet with the superior ramus of the ischium. So both combined here to form the ischiopubic ramus. So this is the ischiopubic ramus, and from the outer lip of the ischiopubic ramus is the attachment, the origin of the muscle that is called the ischiocavernosus muscle of the penis. Takes origin from the ischiopubic ramus medial border. If this medial border is raised, it is the significance of a male pelvis, because in the male pelvis, ischiopubic ramus is raised or it is prominent, but in the female it is not prominent. Then comes the obturator foramen. So obturator foramen is a large triangular foramen in the female, and in the male it is oval, and it is closed by a membrane which is called the obturator membrane. So its whole is closed except superolaterally. So superolaterally it is open, and superiorlaterally in the part of this obturator foramen there is a smooth area. This is called the obturator groove, and this through the obturator groove, and this gap which is left is called the obturator canal, and through this obturator canal passes the obturator artery, a obturator nerve, and a obturator vein. So three structures: obturator, artery, vein, and nerve pass through the obturator canal. So it comes from the obturator nerve, and then it passes through the obturator canal to reach the front of the thigh. So here the obturator artery, vein, and nerve, they also is very, very close to the acetabular notch. So they also supply the hip joint. So, and from here they go to the ligamentum teres of the hip joint, and inside the center of the ligamentum teres, or the round ligament of the head of the femur, passes these arteries, and they supply the head of the femur. So this is how they reach the head of the femur from here. So acetabulum and the outer side of the obturator membrane is the origin of the obturator externus muscle, and internally the obturator internus muscle. So obturator externus muscle, after taking origin from here, it goes to be inserted into the trochanteric fossa of the intertrochanteric crest of the femur. And when the obturator nerve descend downward in front of the thigh after giving the articular branch which enters into the ligamentum teres of the hip joint, then the main obturator nerve goes downward, and obturator externus muscle fibers pass between the anterior and posterior divisions of the obturator nerve here. Then comes the feature here is the acetabulum. Acetabulum is the meeting place of all the three hip bones. So it is formed by the union of all the three bones. The upper, so if we make a Y shape, alphabet, so the upper portion is contributed by the ilium, the largest portion. The medial portion is the pubic bone, and lower is the ischium bone. So all these three bones contribute in the formation of the cup or the acetabulum, and this acetabulum is also not complete. It is interrupted here. So this interruption is called the acetabular notch. This notch is completed or covered by a ligament here, which is called the transverse acetabular ligament. So transverse acetabular ligaments, it completes the rim of the acetabulum for the attachment of the labrum acetabulare of the hip joint here, plus it also gives the attachment to the ligamentum teres of the head of the femur. So this is the transverse acetabular ligament. Now comes the lowermost part of the hip joint, hip bone, that is called the ischium. So ischium bone has got two parts. One is the ischial tuberosity. So this lowermost part is the ischial tuberosity, which gives you the superior ramus of ischium, which form the ischiopubic ramus, and this lowest part of the hip bone, you can say, of the ischium is called the ischial tuberosity. So ischial tuberosity is the thickest and the strongest part of the hip bone, because whenever we are sitting, whole of the weight of the body falls on this. And the part of the ischial tuberosity which is touching the ground is smooth, but the upper part is the rough portion. So this is the rough, and the upper is the rough portion, and lower is the smooth, because smooth part is the resting position. Whole of the weight falls here. So because of the friction of the ground where sit, so it becomes smooth, but the upper part remains a rough area. If we see closely the ischial tuberosity as a whole, so the ischial tuberosity is a quadrangular area. It is divided by a faint line into the upper part and lower part. So upper part is having again divided by the oblique line into the infero-medial and superior-lateral area. Infero-medial and superior-lateral area. So superior-lateral area gives rise to the origin of the semimembranosus muscle, and infero-medial part gives rise to the origin of the semitendinosus and combined origin with the long head of the bicep from the beginning. And the lower half of the ischial tuberosity has got the upper rough area and lower smooth area, and this smooth area touches the ground level. That's why it is very strongest and thickest part. And if we go posteriorly from the ischial tuberosity, then we see there is a pointed sharp structure. This is called the ischial spine, and ischial spine gives rise to the origin or the attachment of the sacrospinous ligament. And this is the anterior or the pelvic surface of the ischial spine is smooth, but the posterior surface or dorsal surface of the ischial spine is rough. And this posterior surface of the ischial spine is related to the what is called the pin relation. PIN pin relation. So this is the ischial spine. So ischial spine anterior surface is smooth or pelvic surface, but posterior spine is related to the pin relation. P stands for pudendal nerve. So pudendal nerve passes touching the posterior surface of the ischial spine is the medialmost pudendal nerve. Then comes the I. I stand for internal pudendal artery and the vein. Internal pudendal artery and the vein. And the medialmost structure is the what is called the nerve to obturator internals. So pin relation is you have to be remembered is related to this. So medialmost is the pudendal nerve. Then I stand for internal pudendal artery and vein, and lateralmost structure behind it is the nerve to obturator internals. So pin relation. So these are the three structures. Same are goes to the inner surface of the obturator fascia in the pelvis here, and they form the Alcock's canal or the pudendal canal of the lateral wall of the ischioradial fossa. So they have the same relation from the ischial spine. They go to the inner surface of the obturator fascia, and this is how they are from the continued at the pudendal canal. Now the upper part is having the greater sciatic notch, and lower is the lesser sciatic notch. So greater sciatic notch is the ilium part is formed by the ilium, and the lesser sciatic is formed by the part of the ischium bone. So the structure which pass from the greater sciatic foramen and lesser sciatic. So these two notches, that is the greater sciatic notch, ischial spine, and the lesser sciatic notch, they are converted into the greater sciatic foramen with the help of the ligament. A vertical ligament is called the sacrotuberous. So they are attached to the sacrum, lower part of the sacrum, lower lateral part of the sacrum and the coccyx, and it is attached to the medial part of the ischial tuberosity. So they call the vertical ligament sacrotuberous, superiorly attached to the anterior and the posterior, superior and the inferior iliac spine. So this sacrotuberous ligament is horizontal. And from the ischial spine is attached a triangular ligament that is called the sacrospinous. So they divide, they cross each other, and they convert the greater sciatic notch into greater sciatic foramen and lesser sciatic notch into the lesser sciatic foramen. So structure passing through the greater sciatic foramen, they are the piriformis. It's a pear-shaped muscle, and sciatic nerve also passes through this. Then superior gluteal artery and superior gluteal vein and nerve, they are related to the upper border of the piriformis, and lower border of the piriformis give rise to the inferior gluteal artery, vein and nerve to the quadratus femoris, and posterior cutaneous nerve of thigh also. So these are the all structures that go passes to the greater sciatic foramen. Then comes the lastly that is called the outer surface of the rough surface of the ilium. So this is also called the gluteal surface. This is called the gluteal surface. So the gluteal surface is having the three lines over them. One is called the, so this is the gluteal surface. So this is the acetabulum cup here. So this is the inner lip of the iliac crest here. So just near the posterior superior spine, there is a small line of parallel to it. This is called the posterior gluteal line. So this is the posterior gluteal line. Then over the outer lip of the iliac crest from the iliac tubercle, a line obliquely goes towards the greater sciatic notch. This is called the anterior gluteal line, and one line which runs parallel above the acetabulum is called the inferior gluteal line. So behind the gluteus maximus takes origin from the posterior gluteal line and area behind it, then from the posterior superior iliac spine, then it takes origin from the outer lip of the iliac crest, then entire length of the sacrotuberous ligament is the origin of the gluteus maximus, while the area between the anterior and the posterior gluteal line is the origin of the gluteus medius muscle. and the muscle gluteus minimus takes origin between the anterior gluteal line and inferior gluteal line. So this gluteal surface is rough because of the muscle attachment.